This is not time-lapsed, nor is it some wild magic trick. It's a technique used to make styrofoam look like stone. And in today's video, we're going to be making tombstones for Halloween decorations. Now, when I first started off building furniture, about a decade ago, the last thing I wanted to do was make anything home decor or festive. And for some reason, I found myself wanting to make it more and more. So here's a fun tutorial on how to make some tombstones. First thing I use is a 1-inch hard sheet good of styrofoam that I picked up for about 25 bucks at any big box home improvement store. And I cut it down to rough size and remove the plastic film from the back side. This is important for two reasons. One, it's easier to draw on, and two, we're going to be applying heat later and you don't want that film on there. I always freehand my shapes and then cut them with a jigsaw. These don't have to be perfect, as in oftentimes tombstone decor is designed to look old, and the less perfect, the kind of more authentic it becomes. You can use a bread knife, by the way, if you don't have a jigsaw. So now we're going to be putting in cracks in the stone, and I use a standard utility razor knife, and I angle the knife inwards towards itself on each side of the cut, and I kind of make what I call these Harry Potter scars, just little lightning bolts, like an old tree branch you would learn to draw in elementary school, where it starts off wide, and at each joint, it actually is going to taper to get thinner and thinner. Now, there's no science to this. You don't have to be an artist to do this. It's a very simple technique. Again, my blade is angled in towards itself or in towards the cut, and that achieves not only a kind of cleaner break, quote unquote, in the stone, but a nice little channel which will then hold a darker color. This process is one of the ones, along with cutting the shape, that if there are kids involved, definitely have adult supervision, or maybe just let the adults do this one. I've bled even doing this, just thinking, kind of moving too quickly, thinking it was going to pop out easier than it actually did. If you're cutting with a jigsaw, definitely have adult supervision, but this is a pretty family-friendly activity. So once you have your cuts lined out and you like your cracks, you're going to spray the surface with water, and then using a butane torch, apply heat very gently. Now, the water is going to prevent the styrofoam from reacting immediately to the heat and receding. As everything heats up, it sinks into itself and creates almost an immediate, and I mean very immediate, do not hold the flame close, do not hold it for prolonged periods of time. The styrofoam begins to recede almost immediately. Now, we use the water to control the burn, control the heat. Where the water is, the aging will not be until the water evaporates. It keeps the surface cool, as you can see here, and it will stay. So if you want to put anything in writing on the stone or the styrofoam, it's great to wet that area if you want a flatter surface. I kind of just brush over. Now, this is really, in my opinion, the funnest part of the process. Be sure you're in a well-ventilated area or outside, and definitely, if you're concerned about it, put on a mask that is certified for organic or volatile organic compounds and the such. Now, once you get the most or the majority of your aging done, I come back in and feather in little bits and pieces. And now it's time to write whatever message you have. Now, in all things building, the very thing I'm worst at is handwriting. So no judgment on here. It's the least professional part of this DIY kind of prop building tutorial. You can print things out and stencil them. I'm going to freehand router on top of my Sharpie lines. Mr. Toad, question mark, question mark. The other night I accidentally stepped on a toad in our yard, and we are unsure as to his condition now. He has been sighted, doing okay, but we've not seen him in a couple days. Sad news. The next thing I do is spray paint into the cracks and the dark spots. I want to look super aged, and then I just take an exterior grade primer. Latex base is fine, and I roll over it gently, making sure not to press too deeply in the areas I want to be darker, specifically going very light-handed on the lettering, and boom, you can make tombstones of any size, any shape. It's really a great technique. If you're building an old fortress or a castle, this is also something cool to do with styrofoam. Making old brickwork, brick veneer. You can basically do anything to replicate stone using this process. Painting is where you can really accelerate and excel the aging process. if you're into that kind of thing. I get kind of flustered waiting on paint to dry, so I rush the process, but you can take your time and really let these things age out. Stick a skewer in the bottom of them, stick them in the yard, and there you have it. How to make some pretty cool tombstones on the cheap. And by the way, out of a 4x8 sheet good for 25 bucks, you can make easily 6 to 8 larger full-size ones and 50 small ones. So there you have it. If you guys have any questions, comment below, and if you like it, give us a thumbs up. Consider subscribing. Happy Halloween.